Okay, guys, I'm in the middle draft stage of the essay, and we've got this coming up next week. And you kind of remember from the last time that I had it in a bit of a mess, but I had the early draft stage done. Now, what I've done is to keep working on it, and what I've decided is I'm just going to write 3 body paragraphs, but you guys have to write 4. But I just want to go through 3 of them just to demonstrate how to move from the early draft stage into the middle draft stage. And once you're done with the middle draft stage, man, you're going to be in good shape. You're going to have an easier time writing the final draft stage, which I know for a lot of folks can be really challenging because you're doing so many things. So remember from the one video, let me go down this just so you know. Video 4 goes through the writing process. That is what is going on, what they call cognitively, up here as you're writing. And the very important thing is you handle 1 or 2 things at a time in each draft stage. And it's important to know that if you're writing an essay, it's really demanding that you complete about 5, 6, too many things. And if you try to do them all at once, you're going to run into trouble. That's the frustration and the writer's block and screaming, everything else, curses upon your English teacher and all that. And yeah, I hear those eventually. But anyway, what I went through with this video was lesson 5 was going through the early draft stages. Okay, how to get the early draft stage done when you get your basic ideas down. Okay, so make sure you go through that and make sure you understand how to go through the early draft stage. And let me show you that really quickly. And I'll go through the middle draft stage with you. And after you get that done, you're ready to write the final essay. And it's kind of a relief if you get this done a little bit early. And you might remember this. And let me show you this from the website again. This is downloaded from here. Classical Greek Tragedy Early Draft. That is a PDF. And you don't just open it like this. You don't just, click on it. You have to actually move it. Notice I'm grabbing it down here, down there in the corner. I'm grabbing it and I'm moving it onto my desktop. And I've done that, so I won't do it again, but you must do that, move it onto your desktop and open it as a file from your desktop. If you just open it in another browser, you're going to have trouble, okay? It's not going to work. So make sure you load it, you grab it and you move it onto your desktop and then open it from your desktop. So make sure you do that, okay? I do repeat that a few times because I'm telling you, I've had a number of students run into issues with that, and for good reason. It's a little confusing at times. Now here I am. I've got multiple documents here. These are all PDFs from my desktop, and they're sitting on my desktop, and I've opened them. This is the generic, nothing filled in, early draft stage. Notice I just asked you to get a quotation. 3 to 6 lines. Get that quotation. Find something from the early part of the play that's 3 to 6 lines that you think is kind of cool. Describe it. This is so important. It's what most students want to run through too fast. And boy, it makes a huge difference. It walks you through and allows the reader to see how you see the quotation, see the evidence. And then you analyze it. You always ask yourself, why are these words important? These words and phrases. What's really going on here at a deeper level? And you're doing it for 1 paragraph, then 2, then you're doing it for a 3rd, then for a 4th. And you've got to understand what you're doing here is just sketching out the early draft stages of the ideas. You're trying to get your basic ideas down of what's going on, okay? And you won't be writing an introduction and all that when you're doing the early draft stage. And notice what I did in the early draft stage, and most of you remember this from last time. I picked these quotations, and these were actually picked to me by another class, and I'm going to show them, what I've done since with you guys online. So I picked these 3 quotations, this one, and I described it. And I'll tell you right now, this writing in the early draft stage was really bad, and I'll show you how I fixed some of it. And I analyzed why I thought it was important, and this I really changed in the middle draft stage. And I had the 2nd body paragraph, and I described it, and I analyzed it, and then the 3rd was really troublesome, and I'm going to give that a try right now. But that's it. So I got 3 body paragraphs. I am asking 4 body paragraphs of you. So I'm just going to do 3 just for, just to move along. Now what I did, and I'll show you this is the middle draft stage. Here it is right here. And I've got an extra stage. Now in the early draft stage, we did the quotation, description, analysis. We had 3 basic elements in the early draft stage. That kept your focus not on organization, but on the ideas. And if you got that done, then you generated ideas. You took you sliced the pumpkin down into one smaller piece. That was really important. You're not trying to shove the whole pumpkin down your garbage disposal anymore. That wouldn't work. What I've added to the middle draft stage is that you set the context. Who is speaking to whom about what? Okay? And I set it up, and then I have the quotation, and then I have the description, and then I have the analysis. And you notice that it is overlapping. The quotation is moved over, the description is moved over, the analysis is, but the big step that's added is you revise. You make it better. You make it better. And you make the description better, you make the analysis better. With the context, you're setting it up for the first time. Notice that you are writing the first body paragraph, the second body paragraph, the third body paragraph, and the fourth body paragraph. You haven't written an introduction yet. The last thing you're going to do is write your introduction right here. And that's kind of backwards. But writing the introduction after you've written the body paragraphs, that's a lot easier to do. So we'll do that in a bit. We'll give it a try. Okay? But let's see what I've done so far, which I haven't finished the middle draft stage. I've just done part of it. Okay? But I'll show you how it's done. Okay? Let me show you the first body paragraph and what I've gotten so far. Okay? This is the middle draft stage. Here's the first body paragraph. And you notice this was totally empty. Switching back over to the empty file that I had. This was empty, empty, empty. And what I did was I wrote this section right up here, right now. I looked at the play and said, all right, let me look to page 7. And what's going on that page? What's going on over there? Okay, I've got it right here. And I figured out, and I originally thought this was after Creon had spoken to the chorus. It wasn't. Creon's about to speak. It's really the Chouragos and the chorus speaking to each other. And the chorus is the voice of the people. The Chouragos is the leader. He's not the king, but he's kind of the senior person. That's what it was. So I wrote the context of it. I said the chorus has come into the play soon after the end of the civil war with Polynices. And the leader of the chorus, Chouragos, expresses the arrogance of his attack. That was on page 7. With the Chouragos saying that that Polynices had been arrogant. That actually was on page 6, but it was right before the right before the quotation. This one on page 7. The chorus agrees and expresses their delight with the end of the war. That had just happened right here on page 7 at the top, and on page 6 towards the bottom. So I'm setting the context of this quotation. I've added that. That's not hard to do. That's easy to do. I just made sure I got it right. Now, this right here, I've revised extensively. Okay? The chorus has a joyous attitude as it describes not just the new day, but the new day after the victory over the rebellious Polynices and the threats he posed to the city. Take a look back at the first draft and how it read originally when I copied it over. The chorus has a joyous attitude as it describes the new day, but not the new day after, but the new day after the victory over the rebellious Polynices. They do not mention Polynices by name. Notice I've revised this in the threat he posed to the city. They do not mention Polynices by name, but the war with him is what they just went through. I've revised that sentence. I've revised it and made it better, okay, from the early draft stage. But the war they went through is what they just went through. They call on the whole city of Thebes to sing for joy and dance, not only physically but in their hearts. They are leaving the war behind. I am revising this. It reads much the same, but it's a lot better. They call on the whole city to sing for joy and dance not only physically, but in their hearts, as they leave the war behind and do not relive the tragedies of the conflict. Notice that I've revised and combined some sentences, and I've added some more. It just sounds better. Okay, it just sounds better. I've made it a little bit better. I'm adding more information onto it, and I like the sentences. In the early draft stage when I was writing it, I didn't worry that the sentences sounded terrible. I got the basic ideas down. Okay, so remember when I went through that in the early early on, I was talking about the draft process. I work on the ideas in the first draft, and I work on revising and developing and refining the ideas in the middle draft stage. That's what I've done. This is not totally different. It's just better. And that's what I did here with the analysis. I did the same thing. It's just better. And I've really added on to the end of the analysis, and I'll show you that. Take a look at this. This is the analysis. Polynice, the brother Antigone, because they do not want to mention him by name. And I kind of thought about why don't they want to mention him by name? And they do not even mention him by name. Their joy is conflicted as they still feel for Antigone in her loss. That's why I think, in my analysis, I think they avoid mentioning it because they don't want to hurt Antigone. I think they actually have some sympathy already here. And their joy, they're kind of being careful about it because they know that's the sister. So let's be careful. I am adding that in the revision. Okay? So this analysis is mostly the same, but I've revised it and made it better. That is the big thing you need to do in the middle draft stage. Revise and make it better. Okay? And let me show you this with the second one a little bit. And this one I haven't done yet. Okay, this one I haven't completed yet. Okay, in fact, I haven't done the third body paragraph yet at all, and I'll show you how I did that. Okay, this is when I'll show you what I did with this one. This one I copied and pasted it over, but I need to set the context, and so I look to this one. This is actually the third body paragraph. Let me see. I've jumped up ahead a little bit too much. Let me get to this. This one is, no, this is the last body paragraph I had. Oh no, this is the second one. This is the second one. That's 7, and then I went to 21. That is the second body paragraph. I've pasted it over. I just pasted the quotation over, but I didn't set the context yet. So the chorus here is expressing, I need to set the context. You notice I'm setting the context of what's going on right now. The chorus here is expressing that they saw these events coming for Antigone for some time now. They do not name specific events, but express feeling of foreboding. Yeah, I don't spell foreboding correctly, but I don't really care. So I've set the context. And then I've got the quotation. I can just paste that over. This is the exact way the description was written before. The chorus describes the difficulties of the family who had led the city of Thebes and say they have seen the trouble coming for many years. And that's expressed here. The troubles have been present in the children as they have grown in front of the chorus. The troubles have been present, but the chorus, notice that the chorus doesn't actually name anything. They don't name any particular events. Okay. They describe the anger of the gods as being focused on Antigone from a sense they had. The daughter of the precious, the daughter of the precious king Oedipus who had fallen victim to the tragic fate the previous generation encountered, from no wrong of their own against the gods. Notice I'm just adding to it. I'm just making it better. Okay. And that's what you should be doing. And that's the middle draft stage. Revising and developing, taking it further. Okay. And that's what I could do here with the analysis. I won't do it right now because I think you get the idea. But let me show you a little bit just how to move from the early draft stage to the middle. It's pretty straightforward. Here it is right here. It's kind of redundant and it seems really pathetic. All you do is grab the quotation. I'm going over to this is the early draft stage, okay? So you can see it. I'm in the early draft stage right here, and I'm going to come over to the middle draft stage over here because the third body paragraph isn't written yet. This is where you are. You should have the early draft stage written. What you do is just copy the quotation. I'm going to hit Control C. Control C. I just hit Control C, and that copies it. I go over to here, and I'm just going to hit Control V. That copies it. That's all you got to do. And I want to move my description over. Control C. You can cut it with Control X, or use the right click on your mouse. I would urge you to copy it in case it gets lost. Okay, so you don't want to cut it. And I'm just copying it over. So that's it, and now I've got what I can revise. So now I can set the context like I just did. I have my quotation, I can revise the description, and I can revise the analysis. And what you'll have, and then you'll do your fourth body paragraph, and then what you'll have is you'll have all the body paragraphs written. You're in darn good shape. Boy, that final draft is going to be a lot easier. But you got this to write down here. Once you get this done, you're in the home stretch. Summarize the body paragraphs by mentioning the scenes covered and your insights into them. Your introduction should include about 2 sentences per body paragraph. This is your first draft of your introduction, and how I advise folks to do it is just go back to your body paragraphs. Go back, for example, to your first one and say, oh, this is when they when they just came out of the Civil War. They were really joyous, but they were oddly not mentioning the name of Polynices because they didn't want to hurt Antigone. Okay. Right at the end of the war, the chorus expressed unlimited joy at the end of the civil. This isn't very well written, but with Polynices. They do, however, avoid mentioning the name Polynices because they do not want to offend the feelings of Antigone. Now that's not greatly written, but I'm starting to set up the body paragraphs. That's what your introduction should do. Then you go to your second body paragraph, you write a couple sentences about that, your third and your fourth, and you've got about 8 sentences of your introduction written, and then go through and revise it and make it a little bit better for the final draft. Okay, and I'll post a final video on that one. What your thesis statement should do is bring together all of the analyses from the body paragraphs. Okay, all of the analyses that you've written up here, all of these analyses, try to bring it together into one thesis statement that puts it all together. Expect to write it a couple times. Write it once. You're going to put it all together, but it's going to be kind of messy. That's okay. You got it together. Then revise it. Give it another try. Try to restate it a little more clearly, a little more elegantly. You don't need to write fancy, but you need to write clearly. And that usually means straightforward language. Once you finish this middle draft stage, then I'll walk you through the final draft stage. You're going to put this all together. You've written the introduction at the end. That's just for the draft process. We're going to move this to the front. But boy, you're going to have the backbone of your essay all taken care of. You've got it pretty much fleshed out. You just got to dress it up to send it in, okay? So finish the middle draft stage. Give it the time. It is a bit redundant, but the revision and the development are everything, okay? Good luck with that. Take care.